Hello everyone, I'm here today with a new video, and today's is a flip through. I am showing you a full flip through from my January 2025 trip to Chicago. On this particular trip, I went with my friend Robin, and so you'll see her in here along with me. And my original thinking for 2025 was I was going to put all of Chicago in one album, because I know I'm going at least 4 times: January, February, July, and August. And now possibly December, so really it might end up being 5. I don't know how I thought I would fit all that in one album. That was crazy talk, because I'm going to have 2 in here. One completely finished, one isn't. I've just dropped in the photos, and look how full it is already. I mean, let's be real. That's not going to fit in here. So I think it's going to end up just being January and February of 2025 in Chicago. With that being said, I also want to note that I did this all in a couple of days. I recently had surgery, and I had made a kit for bed and couch scrapping before my surgery. I put all my Chicago stuff in there thinking okay, I can work on this. This is pretty easy. I had surgery Tuesday afternoon. I started this Wednesday evening, and I finished it Saturday, early evening. So I really kept it very simple and just used what I had prepared in my kit, and I think it came together great. So if you're thinking about doing something like that, not even for because you're having surgery, but just to make a kit to make it easier for yourself, I highly recommend doing it. All right, so it's opening page here. You can see I had to get a little creative. I had a card that was obviously meant for regular scrapping, people that do weekly project life, because it said, oh, it's the start of 2025, new year, new memories. And I thought, well, what else could I use that for? And I thought this was perfect, since right away, first month of the year, I was going to Chicago. So I used that. I just added an ephemera piece I had. This was a clear acrylic piece I had. Pretty sure it's from Color Cast Designs. And I thought, why not just layer it on there then? It's fairly thin, so it doesn't add a huge amount of bulk. And then I have multiple sets of digital cards for Chicago, and so I had a set and a half printed to make sure that I had everything I needed. So I used one of those, and I just did some stamping here and kept it pretty simple. So this is once I got to my room. We stayed at the High Hostel, which I have a membership for the High Hostels. They are nationwide, I believe, but I've only ever stayed in their locations in the US. But they have a great one in Chicago. It's so perfectly located that when it's available, I will take it. So this was my floor. I was on 7, and then you get pods of rooms. They're usually 4 or 5 rooms, and then a common area. And so this was out in the common area. But I liked that it showed 7 for my floor. So I used that, and a lot of orange happening. So I was able to use some orange stuff, which is always fun. And then I actually came in Thursday night. And then my friend only came the next day, that morning. I had a super early flight, but this allowed me to kind of just chill for the evening, rest in my room, get situated, which was awesome. And then I could sleep in the next day because I didn't have to be up to catch a red-eye flight. But this is once my friend got there, then we decided to go out and about in the city and take on the itinerary we had planned. So our first stop here was the Jane Addams Hull House, which is kind of over by UIC, if you know Chicago at all. So we actually had to walk through a little part of campus to get there. So that was kind of fun too, just to see people out and about. And then I took a lot more pictures inside the house, but they were very mismatched. It was really hard to figure out how to put them all together. So I just chose not to. I just picked 6 photos basically, matched them the best that I can with a card that I had, and just called it good. And then here, all I did was a little border sticker here, this little piece of ephemera, because it kind of matched the wood for the clock there, and that was it. When we were done there, it was an easy walk over to Greektown. It's only a couple of blocks. You just, again, kind of walk past the university, over the bridge, and you're there. So we thought, if we're that close, we're going to go. And I've been to Greektown several times, but Robin had not. So it was totally new experience for her, which is always fun. And when we got over there, they still had Christmas decorations up. And this was January 24th, this day. They still had Christmas decorations up. And not just in Greektown. We saw them in other places too. I was not aware the city kept them up that long, but apparently they do. But here, I just tried to match all these different shades of blue that were happening here. And I think I did pretty well between border sticker. These were from the same set, which worked out great. And then I had this card with all of these in there, and really I couldn't have asked for anything better. So here they just had these butterfly, like statue things that were out in the park. And so we took a little bit of time to just kind of like read through what the pillars said and look at all the artwork. That was really fun. They certainly weren't there the last time I was in Greektown, so I don't know how long they're there for exactly, but they were there in late January. So if you're in Chicago, maybe they're still there. Go see them if you have the chance. And here I was excited. I got to use one of my DIY travel embellishments. I still have, look at this thing to go through with items I've made. So anytime I can use one, I'm excited, and I got to use one here, which was awesome. So here we were just looking at a couple of other things that were in that same area. And then we walked to the Hellenic Museum because we were going to go in there. And again, I had been there, but Robin had not. And some of their permanent exhibits, like I've seen those. I don't need to go through them again. So we really just did the temporary ones so that it would be new for both of us. And we were able to get through, I think we maybe only spent an hour. It's not a huge museum. So if you have the time and you're over there, and it's relatively cheap, I think, does it say on here? It was like $8 or $10 or something to get in. It wasn't a lot. And if you find, Hellenic history interesting, then maybe this is for you. So I did include the little brochure they had at the time. You can tell, like, it's very simple. They just make their own, which is fine. And then here, this was the main temporary, like, traveling exhibit they had on the main floor. So there was this beautiful light coming in from the street because they have huge, huge windows out front. And the lighting was just superb. So I got some pictures there. That's really all I used for this museum because upstairs it's a lot darker. The lighting is not as good, and I had seen some of that. So I really just focused on this exhibit. And when we were back outside, we noticed that around Greektown, they had all these owls that were out. So this is another sculpture thing that I believe is temporary, but I'm not sure for how long. But it was fun to just kind of walk the streets around there and then try to find as many as we could. So I actually had more than what's pictured here, but I tried to just keep it to one double page layout, and I think that worked well. And really all I did was use labels and wrote on them because I had a great card, perfect color. I liked the saying. And I had this in the background because when you're in Greektown, if you look over, you can see the Sears Tower very, very clearly. So it's perfect that this was in the picture. Or excuse me, technically it's Willis Tower now. I'm never going to call it that. It's the Sears Tower. After that, we knew we were going to have an early lunch because of what we had going. It was the easiest time to stop. And there are several great restaurants right there in Greektown. So we decided to go to Greek Islands. Again, I had been there, but it had been quite a few years. So first time for Robin. And it was relatively quiet because, it was a Friday. So most people were at work. So early lunch on Friday was perfect. We got served right away. Food was excellent as always. So you can kind of see my domades there. And then I had my baklava. It was all lovely and delicious. Great experience. And then when we were done, we were going to walk back over the bridge, kind of going towards the Sears Tower to go to our next stop because we knew we could get both a bus and a train if we cross the bridge. So we hadn't totally figured it out then, but we're like, you know what? It's not too bad outside. We're just going to walk across and then figure it out. And then for this one, we did a quick selfie on the bridge. Nice skyline kind of behind us. And then I added some fun sequins and I tried to just go white, gray, black to keep it simple with this background, and our hats are gray and black. I was wearing a bright fuchsia parka, but I didn't want to use too much of that. So I allowed a little bit of color here, and that's it. And here's the back side. I just kept it very simple, just saying, oh yeah, we, took the train over and found our way to the Newberry Library, which is right here. The front of it is stunning. So I wanted to do a full 6x8 photo, which I did, and that worked out well. Minimal embellishment, that's all it needed. And then really the most sort of picturesque photogenic part of the library is right in the main entrance and the first floor lobby. After that, not so much. So I just took some pictures down there, and I really didn't have a whole lot. So I just decided to make one collage in a 6x8. I threw this digital paper in there, and then these are actually Harry Potter stickers, but they worked for the theme because they were book related. So I just threw that on there, and I have this brochure that talks about, you know, some of the things the library offers. And that's really all I had for that. For the back of the brochure, it really didn't have anything interesting, so I decided to cover that up. And I chose to scrap some of the holiday decor that was still out. This was lovely. And it was kind of nice to see that. There was, you know, a little bit of snow happening. And then I have a flip here. You can see some other decorations on the street that were still left there. And then we were on to Holy Name Cathedral. Once again, I had been there. Robin had not. And it is gorgeous on the inside. So I said, you know what? If we're right here, you really need to go in there and see that. So we did. So you can kind of see the front here. Just a quick shot from across the street. Love these doors here. And I just kept this really simple. I needed something 4x8 here. And this was a nice journal card where I could kind of embellish a little bit, write the bare minimum, and I'm good to go. On the back side, I printed this 6x8 and then cut it to a 4x8. I actually printed this one at home rather than order it out. So I was able to do that very quickly, which is nice. Slap on just a few like phrases here. This was a border sticker I had from a Chicago sheet of stickers. So that was already themed, and that kind of aqua tone matched what I had going. Worked out really well. After that, we went and found a local bookstore. We wanted to find one when we were there, and neither of us had been into this one. I'm not even sure how long it's been there. Called Afterwards. Loved it. Loved the old style feel with the brick on the inside and everything, and the staircase. And then I do have a flip here, and I just chose to use the business card that I got and throw on a couple of little things, nothing too major. And I think that worked out nicely. And then close to there, this was all kind of in the same area. Close to that was St. James Cathedral. Again, I had been, she had not, so we just popped in there. I think we were only in there maybe 10 minutes. It wasn't a lot because it's not like as huge or as much to see as Holy Name. But I did get some pictures. Since I have some in another album, I didn't want to overdo it. This was more than enough. At that point, we were ready to kind of take just a little bit of a break from walking and warm up a little bit with some coffee or tea. And we found Goddess and the Baker, also close to the bookstore and the cathedrals and all of that. So we popped in there. We didn't know the sign was in there, but what a great thing for a scrapper to find. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, well, obviously, I have to take a picture and I have to scrap that. So it worked out really well. And then, because we bought a snack, look at these cute little bags they give out. I mean, how was I not going to scrap that? So I just dropped the business card in there that I got. Use an attacher. I could have just made holes and put it in, but I was worried about it ripping. So I used an attacher, put this on the front. I left the back open so you could see the whole pattern. And I love the way that fits in the album. Then over here, this was just on the pillar inside the shop. So I decided to blow it up. I also printed this one at home. So it's actually like I think it's not a 5x7. It's not a 4x6. It's in between. I kind of sized it just to fit on the paper that I had because I was using a full photo sheet to print some photos. So it's kind of an odd size, but I think it looks fine here. Just did some ink splattering, put on this puffy sticker. That was enough. And then we were off to dinner because we had a whole evening planned as well. And, you know, it was January, so the sun goes down early. So it was relatively early. I think it was only like 5:30. But look at how beautiful it was already. And we had to cross the bridge over the river to get to the restaurant. We're going to Elephant and Castle for dinner. And look at this. I mean, we were just stunned by how beautiful the river looked that night. We got so lucky, totally right place at the right time. So we made our way to the restaurant. Again, I had more pictures in this, but I chose to pare down to kind of keep it simple. So you can see the front of the restaurant there, our drinks, they were lovely. And then we actually had a very light dinner. We knew we were going to eat after again, more than likely after the show. So we kept it small here and kind of just had apps and drinks. And that worked out just fine. Used a puffy word here, this little heart, not a whole lot to it, and that's totally fine. And then over here, this was as we were approaching our theater for the evening. I had gotten a deal for Black Friday that you could do 2 for 1. For the Harry Potter musical, and I had seen it in New York, but Robin had never seen it. And I was like, you know what, we're going to be in Chicago anyway. Like, this is the time. If you really want to see it and kind of know what it's about, do it now when it's cheap. So we went. So here you can kind of see they had the street all done up, and then we had someone take our photo out front of the playbill. And I will say it's disappointing that JKR has turned out to be the person that she is, because it kind of taints everything. But I still love the stories like in my heart. So I will say this play, not my favorite. I have serious problems with some of the story points here, but you know, it is what it is. And I was willing to go again. And the theater is beautiful. I love the theaters in Chicago. So I was able to snap this at intermission. And then I just got shots of the theater itself because it's so ornate, so pretty on the inside. When we were done at the theater, we continued the theme because they were having a Harry Potter pop-up experience at a bar in Lincoln Park, or bar restaurant, I guess it is. And we thought, you know what, that's not that far from downtown. We're going to go. So we made a reservation, I think for 11 o'clock, 10:30, 11, something like that. And we got in. It was quite busy, as you can see. Like, there were a lot of people in there. So it's a good thing we chose to like reserve and do that ahead of time. But it was all decked out. So I got tons of pictures of different things that were happening. They had movies going on, a big screen that you could kind of sort of pay attention to while you were eating and drinking. And so I got to use a lot of Harry Potter stuff that I have. I have a lot of cards and stickers and just items because I've seen the play multiple times. I've been to Harry Potter World. You know what I mean? Like, I just have the stuff. And so here, I will accept being both Gryffindor and Ravenclaw, because whenever I take like the full length test that has all the questions, it goes back and forth. I feel personally I identify a little bit more with Gryffindor, but I will take Ravenclaw for this instance because Robin is a Gryffindor. I thought, well, let's mix it up. I'll go with my Ravenclaw persona for this event. So this is just more inside the bar, different things that they had decorated and on the walls, things you could go and look at, animatronics, that kind of thing. So like they had the sorting hat and the phoenix and, you know, all kinds of different things. Dumbledore's like podium happening. So I tried to like fit in as much of that as I could with the themed items that I had. I think I did a pretty good job. And using a page protector like this helped because then I could cut down smaller pieces and fill those pockets nicely. So on this side, I love this card, so I was finally able to use that. I used some HP themed stickers that I had, and you can see here was our pizza, and then we had butterbeers for our drinks. So there's the phoenix. So actually, is this supposed to be hippogriff? Maybe this is supposed to be the hippogriff. My bad. And then there's Fox over here. And then somebody had broken part of Dobby. So he could no longer live like on his own sitting up on the bar. They had to stash him. But they brought him out for me when I mentioned, oh, I wanted to see Dobby. I was so excited. The guy that was working behind the bar brought him out for me. So I did get to see Dobby in the end. And I got lucky that I had this card here with the phoenix that matched what was happening with the trolley. And put those all together. And all I did was use those 2 phrase labels with spells. And that's it. Pretty easy, but it's effective. And then here we are at the end. That was it that night. It was very late when we got back, but we were totally fine with that. We knew that was going to happen. And then we both were taking the train back. I flew in and then took the train back. So here I am at Union Station in Chicago, catching my train. And then I could see this out my window as we were leaving. So I just wrote about taking the train back, that I find it so relaxing, especially after such a busy whirlwind trip. And then I don't remember where I picked this up, but I found this beautiful sticker that said Chicago. And I wanted to use it badly, and it worked out that there was red in these photos. So I'm like, you know what? It's going there. I'll figure out some way to make a 4x8 of that, and I did. And then all I had to do was add this phrase, and that was it. So super easy to like get all that done. And that's the end of January. I have started on February a little bit, but I'm going to save that until that's all done. But now at least you've seen my entire trip for January and that I completed it all in just a couple of days. Thanks for watching.